Let's celebrate Easter for a while. Easter is a festival celebrated by Christians around the world to commemorate the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. It is considered the most important event in the Christian calendar, as it signifies the victory of life over death and the promise of salvation for all believers. The celebration of Easter is marked by various traditions and customs that have been passed down through generations, making it a special and joyous occasion for families and communities. The origins of Easter can be traced back to ancient pagan festivals that celebrated the arrival of spring and the renewal of life. In many cultures, the spring equinox was a time of rebirth and new beginnings, and people would gather to welcome the longer days and warmer weather. Over time, these pagan rituals were incorporated into Christian traditions, and Easter became a time to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ and the promise of eternal life. One of the most iconic symbols of Easter is the Easter egg, which represents new life and fertility. The tradition of decorating eggs dates back to ancient times when people would dye eggs in bright colors to celebrate the arrival of spring. Today, Easter eggs are a popular part of the holiday festivities, with children participating in Easter egg hunts and families exchanging beautifully decorated eggs as gifts. Another important symbol of Easter is the Easter Bunny, a mythical creature that is set to bring baskets of treats to children on Easter Sunday. The origins of the Easter Bunny can be traced back to German folklore, where it was believed that a rabbit would lay eggs for children to find on Easter morning. Today, the Easter Bunny is a beloved figure in many cultures, and children eagerly await its arrival each year. In addition to Easter eggs and the Easter Bunny, another important tradition associated with Easter is the Easter meal. Many families gather together to enjoy a special feast on Easter Sunday, featuring traditional dishes such as roast lamb, ham, and hot cross buns. The meal is a time for loved ones to come together and celebrate the joy of Easter, reflecting on the significance of the resurrection and the hope it brings. Religious services are also a central part of the Easter celebration, with Christians attending church to mark the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Easter Sunday is a time of joy and thanksgiving, as believers come together to worship and give thanks for the sacrifice that Jesus made for their salvation. Churches are decorated with flowers and candles, and special hymns are sung to celebrate the resurrection and the promise of new life. In many cultures, Easter is not just a one-day celebration, but a season that lasts for several weeks. The period leading up to Easter, known as Lent, is a time of reflection and spiritual preparation, where believers fast and pray in anticipation of the resurrection. Holy Week, the week leading up to Easter Sunday, is marked by special services and observances that recount the events of Jesus' final days on earth, from his triumphal entry into Jerusalem to his crucifixion and resurrection. As Easter Sunday approaches, many communities come together to celebrate with parades, pageants, and other festive events. In some cultures, there are traditional Easter processions that reenact the events of Jesus' final days, with participants dressed in biblical costumes and carrying crosses and banners. These processions are a powerful reminder of the sacrifice that Jesus made and the hope that his resurrection brings to believers. Overall, Easter is a time of joy, renewal, and hope for Christians around the world. It is a time to come together with family and friends, to reflect on the meaning of the resurrection, and to celebrate the promise of new life. Whether through the exchange of Easter eggs, the sharing of a special meal, or the attending of religious services, Easter is a time to rejoice in the victory of life over death, and to give thanks for the gift of salvation. In conclusion, Easter is a time to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, and the promise of new life that it brings. It is a time of joy, renewal, and hope for believers around the world, as they come together to worship, reflect, and celebrate the victory of life over death. Whether through the exchange of Easter eggs, the sharing of a special meal, or the attending of religious services, Easter is a time to rejoice in the promise of salvation and to give thanks for the sacrifice that Jesus made for all believers. Let us all come together to celebrate Easter and to embrace the hope and joy that it brings.